and your life entirely on the road on the right footing. I'm Muyi Agbonfuegbe, and my colleague who enjoys introducing herself by herself and for herself, like it's democracy, is also on the program.
Of course, we're in democracy, so I should introduce myself. Good morning to each and every one of you out there. Of course, I am Jumai Manson, and it's great to be here on Global Morning. How was your weekend? Like a very up and down movement when it comes to the weekend. Of course, we had the Ondo State election, and of course, Governor Aiyedatiwa has been reinstated as governor of Ondo State, which is, well, we thank God, everything went on well.
Right.
And how was your weekend? I know I was seeing you everywhere here.
My weekend was was fabulous. So I get it online. But basically, we thank God for life. And for what we're hearing regarding Odo, like you mentioned, there was no incidents of violence. Maybe it was minimal, if at all. As they always say, pocket of incidences. There's really not anything to be seen as a level that is catastrophic.
Exactly.
Again, which was one of the things that characterized the election in those states. By the way, for many people, there are issues here and there, concerns here and there, particularly from members of opposition political parties and those who went to observe the election. Yaga, for example, released mid-process kind of reports, and they also gave a final report at the end of the poll. Of course, results came in pretty early. Winner was announced earlier than projected, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. But, well, like you said, it wasn't catastrophic, which is good, because no lives, property were lost due to the election. Thank God. But at the same time, people have their own opinion when it comes. We were talking about it yesterday, and we said a lot of people had a lot of things to say concerning the Ondo State election, especially the opposition party, which, funny enough, in some states, it was just that particular, I don't want to mention, but to not create chaos and all that, but people could sense that there was like a little bit of shade behind it. So many people were not really satisfied with the result. People were not happy about the outcome of the result. But the most important thing, like I always say, when you are being entrusted with power, it's not you now. It's the people. Just do what the people want. I don't care who sits on that seat. As long as the people are happy and you're the mouthpiece of the individuals when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to education, when it comes to a lot of things, when it has public that is important to human, electricity and all of that, transportation, all is working well, whoever it is on that seat, as long as you represent the people and the individuals who are the people feel your impact and are happy, I think you are good to go, basically.
I think that's a very brilliant thing to say, quite frankly. But now the president says, if you're dissatisfied with the process, go to court. Again, we're back to that cycle of going to court. The question you're asking yourself is, when will that cycle, or if you like, that jinx, be broken? The jinx of going to court. At what point are we going to have an election that is definitive at the level of INEC, who happens to be the umpire? Because whether you like it or not, INEC midwives polls, elections in this country. So are we not supposed to ideally have a situation where once INEC announces a winner, Jumai Manson has won this election, we're done and dusted? But what we hear is Jumai wins and Uyi raises concerns, and Jumai and our party say, go to court if you're not satisfied. We flip it over 4 years down the line, Uyi wins, and Jumai is not satisfied with the process that produced Uyi, and she and her party say, we're not satisfied, and they say, go to court. So can we not have an election that closes at the INEC point? And that's one of the issues we'll be discussing on Scale of Justice this week. Because, you see, you can't separate election or electoral process from the law.
No, you can't.
There's the ground law, the Constitution. There's the Electoral Act of 2022. And then, of course, INEC releases guidelines for every election, whether it's the general cycle or the off-grid election. Therefore, are we going to throw all of these very important documents, all these laws and acts and guidelines to the dogs, and then just continue to drive the process the way we have done since 1999? We've come a long way. It's 25 years accounting.
Yes,
have we really evolved, especially with regards to the process? Are we not supposed to do better at this point, all right, in the last 25 years than we're doing right now? Particularly for a country that says we borrowed this variant of democracy or system of government from the United States.
Exactly. It's just unfortunate that this is where we've actually found ourselves. This is where we are, whether you accept it or not,
right.
whether you take it in or you take it out. This is where we are. I don't think we're not involved to that particular level yet. I think we still have a long way to go. Like you've mentioned, 25 years is not 25 years. An individual who's 25 years, if the country and the system is working intact, you should be married. You have an amazing job. You're out of your parents. But a 25-year-old, as we speak, it's still in the father's house, and the parents still take
and eating free food,
free accommodation, and all of that. So you can look just at that angle. And when it comes to political issues, we've not gotten to that particular level. I think we still have a long way to go. I think we've not actually acclimatized that with the fact that people have gone way ahead where we are at this point. So we need to do better as a country. We need to do better as individuals, and we need to do better when it comes to electoral process. We've not gotten it right yet, Uyi. It's just unfortunate that we cannot just have an election that is just fair and fair and everyone goes their own way, shake hands. Look at Trump and Kamala Harris, for instance. We saw what happened. Despite the fact that she actually crushed him during the electoral, when they were on the process of manifestos going back and forth, she crushed him. She said,
all through the debate.
What are you saying? Did you watch it? Like, seriously. And he fought back. But at the same time, they realize that power is not one person. It's not an individual that owns this power. And when you are in power, it's not about you, Uyi. We need to understand that it's not about you when you're in power. It's all about the people in whom.
Like they say for the American people. So one day, hopefully, we'll also say for the Nigerian people.
Hopefully, we'll get there. And there are a lot of individuals who are, as I speak, competent, who are for the people and not for themselves. But I think we have a long way to go. We need to sit down, digest, and understand this process to know that that's the only way forward, and it will be for the Nigerian people, hopefully.
You know, still stay with this issue of election and the electoral process. In 2007, God rest his soul, blessed memory, former President Musa Yar'Adua, had said that the election that produced him as president at that time, when he ran with former presidents, then the vice presidents, talking about Goodluck Jonathan, he did say, the former president then, Yar'Adua, did say that process, was not adjudged free, fair, credible and transparent. He raised questions. Of course, that led to the immediate setting up of a committee, a panel to look at the electoral process in this country and introduce reforms. And we can confidently and authoritatively say that whatever we now call reforms, no matter how minimal it may be, started from that point on. In 2007, that was the man who recognized that I may have become the president, I may have won the election, but the process is questionable. And as such, we must introduce radical reforms from the ground up. But the question is, did we sustain it after his passing? The answer is obvious, So it means that when people raise concerns about electoral process, we shouldn't leave it at the level of, well, it's coming from the opposition. We don't need to pay them in mind. No, we must ask ourselves, are we always going to be here? Is this the kind of process we want to leave behind? Are we not supposed to leave it better than we met it? So what are we supposed to do going forward? At the level of INEC, for example, is it the leadership? Is it that INEC is not adequately funded? Is it like they don't have the right hands? Is it like they have a gap in manpower? What should they do? What is missing? In the case of Ondo, for example, we're told that materials came early. The member was supposed to use them came very early. INEC said that. YAGA also corroborated that report by INEC, which means that's an improvement. However, what are other areas where we need to improve on? Because you're also looking at the fact that you have riverine areas in Ondo, like you have in Edo, like you have in the Niger Delta, for example, yet it didn't become an excuse for not bringing materials early in the case of Ondo. So which means that while we have improved on that front, we must look at other areas where critical improvements are required and be man enough, be sincere enough, be patriotic enough to pay attention to those areas. So the question is, are we ready to have that conversation now or in the near future?
Well, like I've said, we are not ready, but I think it's better. Once you have a conversation, you know the way forward. It's better we start having these conversations now for individuals to know. And the good thing about all of this is individuals, nationals, Nigerians, we're not as quiet, quote unquote, as we used to be.
Now, so we're now more outspoken.
We're now more outspoken when it comes to when you see an electoral process that is not right, you can boldly come out and say, okay, like you heard when I read in the papers that someone was like, Mahmoud Yakubu should resign.
Of course, that's the Agbora Ajayi,
exactly.
the candidate of the PDP.
Exactly, he should resign. Now, people are now more outspoken, not afraid of what will happen on the
Right.
That's what we enjoy when it comes to democracy and the process in which it brings. And like I said, it's better we start having these conversations now. It's better these reforms that were there before are brought into limelight so that we can work on it and it should become better.
Right.
Like you said, there's a little bit of improvement when it comes to INEC, like the materials got to the polling units on time, which is good. But are there other lapses that we need to correct? Are there other lapses that are unforeseen that we need to bring on the table, and we'll talk about it
Right.
so that we can move past all of this? And you said something very vital. You said when a party wins and the other one opposes, it's not all about the opposition party. There are some concerned patriotic Nigerians
Beyond political parties.
beyond political parties, beyond I'm for this, I'm for APC, I'm for PDP, I'm for ABGA, I'm for this. No, it's beyond all of that. It's beyond all of this that we see. It's for the betterment of what we see in Nigeria and what we want in Nigeria. Really, we look at the country. It's for now, a lot of people will tell you, and quote unquote, it's nothing to write home about. A lot of people will take the Japa syndrome and hold it tightly to their bodies. Sadly. And for goodness sake, some people will prefer to die abroad than to come back home. It shows you how bad the situation is and the economy is. So these leaders on these seats should understand that it's not them anymore. And these are seats. I think when you understand the implication of what this is all about, people are dying due to hunger. There was a video I saw on the internet. There was this Aboki. I think he stays in Delta. He's a cobbler. And he was so hungry, he fell down on the street. He fell practically on the floor. People gathered and gave him food. He couldn't even hold the spoon to eat. It brought tears to my eyes. It doesn't matter whether he's Muslim, whether he's Christian, whether he's Hausa.
So he's a human being as a Nigerian.
Exactly. So that is what we should understand. It doesn't matter where you are from. You're Edo, I'm Kogi, mixed, and all of that. The most important thing is we are Nigerians, and we are all going through all of this. And whatever we say matters. So it's a talk that we need to bring to the table, and we need to dialogue as soon as possible.
Okay, so we also need to bring you newspaper headlines as soon as possible, but all of that will happen after this short break. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Odi walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning Team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Odi walks you through the twists, turns, and curves in bands, stocks, and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Odi walks you through the twists, turns, and curves in bands, stocks, and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
right, you're welcome back, and welcome back from that very long break. It's still Global Morning on Global Television, and up next is the newspaper review. And we'll be looking at the first paper, which is the Nation newspaper. That's the first paper. Above the caption of the Nation newspaper, it says NDDC to pump 1.9 trillion naira into 1,006 legacy projects. And next, we have how to tackle rising food crisis by experts. And still on the top of the caption, the Nation, it says Olubadan asks Sultan to continue promoting religious tolerance, and you can find that on page 6. And of course, still on page 6, it says JAMB begins accreditation of centers for 2025 UTME. And below the caption of the Nation, it says Obasanjo's comment on Tinubu's mischievous, says Afenifere's chiefs. And here it says why Aiyedatiwa secured total victory in governorship election. And still on the Nation newspaper, it says APC candidates wins in all 18 councils. PDPs reject results. Tinubu Ganduje governorship victory. And that is basically all on the Nation newspaper. Go out and get yourself a copy. But let's just talk quickly about why Aiyedatiwa secured a total victory in governorship election. I've been talking about Governor Aiyedatiwa, and I said he's a people's person. You see him going out, you see him communicating with the masses and trying to be there. So I wasn't really surprised, basically. I don't know about you, if you're entitled to your own opinion, but that's what the people want, for someone to acclimatize with them, understand their plea, understand their cry, what they need when it comes to employment, when it comes to electricity, transportation, food, and all of that. And I think he has done justice when it comes to issues like this, when going one-on-one on the streets and being friendly with individuals. All right, the next paper, and we will be running us through.
The Punch newspaper. Let's take a quick look at that for you, everyone. We begin with the headlines above the name mast of the Punch this morning, with a picture of the chairman of Dangote Group here, Aliko Dangote. Says Dangote Ipman signed 240 million liter monthly petrol deal. That's quite a lot, and it's a good place to start from. Minimum wage, FG to spend 6.5 trillion naira, says MTEF. That's according to the medium-term expenditure framework. Governors threatening reps over Tinubu VAT bill. That's a spokesman there. Then, of course, you have the big story, as always the case. The kicker is Aiyedatiwa's victory. INEC PDP disagree over alleged fraud in Ondo poll. Three riders with that headline. The first one reads, Opposition says election worst in history. INEC APC defend results. Tinubu governors hail Aiyedatiwa. And then if you look at the the bottom right end of the paper, you find a breakdown of the results across all 18 local government areas where Mr. Aiyedatiwa was announced to have won. And then let's take it to the very bottom of the page, where we have about 3 headlines as well. Bottom left, Abiodun Adebutu clash as APC clears Ogun LG polls. 3,767 killed in 9-month road crashes. That's a report from the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC. One here, which has its details on page 8, is about health. It says Mpox vaccination begins in 7 states. You can read all of these headlines this morning for yourself from the Punch newspaper. Let's flip it over to the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, now to the Daily Trust newspaper, giving you some very trusty headlines, according to you, how you always say that. And of course, below the nameplate of the Daily Trust, it says APC retains Ondo as Aiyedatiwa elected governor. War in Gaza, that's now the foreign news there, close to that story. It says, war on Gaza, UN Committee, Human Rights Watch indict Israel for genocide. Former NIADG Zachary son die same day. Unfortunate incident there. It says presidency mom as Obasanjo IMF slam Tinubu's reform. And the writer there says Nigeria under state capture, and that's by the words of an ex-president. Initiatives confronted by adjustment fatigue, IMF. And below the nameplate of the Daily Trust says power outage, small businesses turn to alternative energy. And there are two writers there. It says options costly, deplete capital, traders, artisans. And the second writer says man's exporters tax federal government on green electricity. Basically, that is all. It's just unfortunate when it comes to the power outage. Just businesses have actually collapsed, and people have actually beckoning on smaller businesses.
Right.
It's just unfortunate. That's where we find ourselves. Of course, the high electricity tariff, and then if you're in band A, you
pay through your nostrils.
Exactly. It's just unfortunate, but I pray it all gets better, and I pray this whole thing, hardship, comes in end as soon as possible. And the next is this day newspaper, and we will run us through that.
All right, let's begin with the story. So the headlines are above the nameplate of this day newspaper this morning. First here says FT, Dangote is seeking bank funding to boost crude supplies to refinery. We have a few writers accompany that headline. One here says minimum supply of 300,000 BPD costs $2 billion in 3 months, says report. And the other one says UK-US experts project refinery to hit full capacity in Q2, that's second quarter of next year, raise competition in Europe. That sounds great. Then there's one here that reads, WTO urges Nigeria to review customs procedures as ports knocks high rates of physical inspection. That story has its details on page 5. Then what more do we have here? To reinforce ties, Nigeria, India seek more pacts on security, economy, defense orders. Just to remind you that the India Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Nigeria yesterday, received by the President Bola Tinubu, and they had the GCO and honor conferred on him, which has raised concerns now. That has become more controversial than one would have expected barely 24 hours ago. Then a big story here says INEC declares APC's Ayedatiwa winner of Ondo poll. Party clears all 18 LGAs, with 2 riders following that headline. Tinubu, Buhari, Gandhi, Barao, APC, others greets winner. How someone lose leadership paved way for victory. I read up those details when you pick up a copy of today's issue of the paper, that's this day. Then we have the Star story as well. Election integrity. Obasanjo calls for new credible INEC leadership. And then we bring you 4 writers with that story. Says INEC willfully failed to implement technologies touted by the INEC chairman himself in 2023 elections. Describes current state of play as state capture. Knocks judiciary, declares justice now for highest bidder. Decries fall of Nigeria's GDP from $510 billion to $199 billion under Tinubu. And nobody's explained to us how we have come to experience that kind of sag in our gross domestic products, that's GDP. But that is a conversation for another time. Let's take you to the Leadership newspaper now.
All right, now the Leadership newspaper on Global Television, and above the nameplate of the Leadership, it says Mina Chief Imam dies at 93. And you can find that read on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. And it says Kebbi government denies illegal mining allegation. And you can find that on page 19. Now below the nameplate of the leadership, it says Nasima petitions federal government over NIBC India's operations. And it says here, federal government douses tension, says tax reform to ensure equitable VAT sharing. And you can find that read on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. And then the Star story, which says elections, CSO seek improvement on disability inclusion. And you can find that read on page 4. And we have 3 riders there. It says, as Tinubu, Buhari, others hail Aiyedatiwa's victory in Ondo. We are reviewing governorship outcome, PDP. Results consistent with our PRVT findings, Yaga Africa. And beside all of that, here it says, Tinubu off to Brazil for G20 Leaders Summit. And you can find that read on page 16 of the leadership paper. Ex-NIA DG Zachary Ibrahim dies at 81. And then, of course, you can read that on page 6. Ribado leads delegation to Chad President Deby. And you can find that on page 21. And it says here, below all of that, it says, military pounds terrorists planning attack on troops. And you can find that read on page 5 of the leadership newspaper. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well informed on issues making rounds. And the next is The Guardian, and who you'll be guiding us through that process.
So densely, that's our last paper for you on the program this morning. We start with the Star story. Leveraging shared history, Nigeria-India to expand $7.9 billion trade ties. Those details are waiting you on page 6 of today's issue of The Guardian newspaper. Let's take a look at headlines on the right end of the front page. A court stops NBC from imposing fines threatening broadcast stations. That's one of the conversations we're having for you on the program this morning. How double-digit interest rates scuttled local vehicle acquisition. Then you find those details on page 8. We're not having the right conversation about our automobile industry just yet, but let's pretend for a while. One day we'll realize that we need to look at our policy again and see how we can drive the narrative better, especially given what we're seeing in Asian countries right now. United spending, supply disruption to push inflation up 34.45% this month. House meets Tinubu's team on tax reform bills. Yes, the same tax reform bills that have now become as controversial as ever. LASUTH CMD seeks review of abortion laws. Islamic scholars decry rising sexual gender violence in North. 2025 budgets, experts divided over 1,400 naira to a dollar exchange rates. Others. Ondo poll, that's your kicker. Aiyedatiwa retains seat as Tinubu tells PDP others to go to court. Well, I have to put it that way because it's in inverted commas here. All right. What more do we have? There's a last headline at the very foot of the paper, front page this morning. The kicker is COP29, which is currently happening in Baku. Nigeria advocates collaborative approach to decarbonization. That's with regards to climate change, global warming, and all of the concerns we have around the environment. That's all the headlines from the Guardian newspaper today, by the way.
Okay, and with that, we have come to the end of the newspaper review segment, and up next is the AM News on Global Television. Just go out and get yourself a copy of your paper to be well informed. Don't go anywhere. It's Global Morning on Global Television. Like I mentioned, AM News is up next. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen. Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
The Global Morning Team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Odi walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers!
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Odi walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Get a shot in, squares it, into the back.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Got that goal! Beautiful work from the wingers!
You have a big head. Apologies for that very short break, and hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the news on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu departs Abuja for Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, today to attend the 19th meeting of the G20 Leaders Summit taking place in the South American country. The summit will be held from Monday, November 18th to Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Tinubu's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, says Monday's gathering will bring together leaders from the world's top 20 economic, including the European Union, the African Union, and multilateral financial institutions, amongst others. This year's meeting under the theme, Building a Just World and a Sustainable Planet, will see the participants discuss the fight against hunger and poverty, reform of the institution of global governance and sustainable development and energy transition. Nigeria has subsequently advocated for a reform for the global governing institution and often presented its impressive credentials as a strong contender for a present seat on the United Nations Security Council. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Lucky Aiyedatiwa of the All Progressive Congress, APC, winner of Ondo State governorship election. Aiyedatiwa defeated his closest rival, Agbola Ajayi of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, securing 366,781 votes to Ajayi's 117,845 votes. The APC clinched victory in all 18 local government areas of the state. The Labour Party and the Zenith Labour Party polled 1,162 and 2,692 votes, respectively. The results were announced by the coalition officer, Professor Oluyemi Akimomi, at INEC State Headquarters in Akure. Ceylon Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has urged opposition parties to join hands together to develop the state. Aiyedatiwa's call came after the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared him the winner of Saturday's governorship election in the state. Kikelomo Okere tells us more.
It was a moment of joy and jubilation in the banquet hall in the government house as Governor Lucky Orimisan Aiyedatiwa polled 366,781 votes, while Ajayi scores 117,835 votes across the 18 local government area of Ondo State. In his acceptance speech, Aiyedatiwa, while promising to run an all-inclusive government, commended INEC and security agencies and all stakeholders involved in the election for a diligent job done. Aiyedatiwa dedicated his victory firstly to God and secondly to memories of his former boss, late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu.
The most important thing is the people, the state, the land and the people. Developing the state, empowering the people, that is what I'm providing an enabling environment for the state to develop by investors. That is very important. You talk about security, you talk about the political environment that you can see now that is stable. There's continuity in Ondo State, the political environment is stable.
In an interview with the National Chairman All Progressive Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, Chairman Progressive Governors Forum, Hope Uzodinma, and the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu expressed confidence in the party's ability to expand its dominance in the southwest region. They stated that the APC next focus is to reclaim Osun and Oyo states, which are currently under the leadership of PDP. The governors and APC national chairman commended the people of Ondo State for their peaceful nature, saying the election was a smooth, free and fair. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa's victory was attributed to the unity in the state by all Progressive Congress campaign teams throughout the period of campaigns. It is expected that the victory will usher in a new beacon of hope, tranquility for Ondo State citizens, where all indices of development. From Akure, the Ondo State capital, Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
Thank you, Kike, for that report. In the meantime, Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has assured residents of Ondo State of improved service, saying that his victory at the just concluded governorship election is a call to do more. Speaking to reporters after being declared winner in the election, Aiyedatiwa promised what he called better days for residents. In a related development, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has facilitated Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa for winning Saturday's governorship election held in the state. The president also commended the peaceful conduct of the process. Tinubu's congratulatory message was convened in a statement signed by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga. President Bola Tinubu has met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The Indian Prime Minister, who is on state visit, arrived in Nigeria earlier. Modi's visit to Nigeria will be the first by an Indian Prime Minister since Dr. Manmohan Singh's stated visit in 2007, when the two nations established a strategic partnership. President Tinubu and Prime Minister Modi will seek to strengthen Nigerians and Indian ties further during the bilateral discussions. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has confirmed the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger CGON honor on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. President honored the Indian Prime Minister at the ongoing meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The meeting is part of the activities marking the state visits of the Prime Minister. Earlier, President Tinubu welcomed the Indian leader with the Indian anthem, which was followed by a Grand of Honor mounted by a brigade of guards. They also rendered the Nigerian anthem and led the visiting leader in inspection of the mounted parade. Ambassador Olufemi Oguntoyinbo, a southwest chieftain of the New Nigerian People's Party (NNPP), has alleged that the local government election conducted in Ogun State on Saturday was marred by malpractice, delays, and voter disenfranchisement. Ajodi described the election as a sham, emphasizing that results announced by the Ogun State Independent Electoral Commission would not reflect the will of the people. Speaking to journalists in the state's capital, Abeokuta, he accused the commission of bias and collusion with the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC). Over now to the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has ordered the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) to stop using the NBC Act and Nigerian Broadcasting Code to impose fines, threaten to impose sanctions, harass and intimidate the broadcast stations and other independent media houses in the country. The court declared that the commission and its agents lack the legal power and authority to impose penalty unlawfully and unilaterally, including fine, suspension, withdrawal of license, or any form of punishment whatsoever on independent media houses for promoting access to diverse information on issues of public importance. The judgment was delivered in June by Honorable Justice Nicholas Iwebo following a lawsuit brought by the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SERP) and Center for Journalism Innovation and Development (CGID). The certified true copy of the judgment was obtained last Friday. Vice President Kashim Shettima says President Bola Tinubu is determined to change the fortunes of Nigeria, regardless of the challenges confronting the country. The Vice President said this in Abuja at a one-day retreat for presidential aide and heads of units in his office. He noted that the nation's economy is on the path of growth on account of President Tinubu's policies and determination to transform the economy for all Nigerians. Shettima also urged all aides in the presidency to synergize more and work harder in helping the president to deliver on his mandate. Nigeria's representative Chidinma Adesina finished as the first runner-up at the 73rd Miss Universe competition held in Mexico. The final moments of the prestigious event at the Arena CDMX in Mexico City, Mexico announced early Sunday morning yesterday saw an electrifying face-off between Nigeria and Denmark as the two women stood posed to claim the crown. The competition, described as one of the most thrilling in recent years, celebrated the talents of intelligence and elegance of women from around the globe. Meanwhile, Adesina's exceptional performance and grace earned her the widespread admiration from judges and audiences alike. The chief imam of Mina in Niger State, Sheikh Isa Ibrahim Ferry, is dead. Ferry, who served as the chief imam of Mina for over 2 decades, died at the IBB Specialist Hospital Mina on Saturday night. Niger State Governor Mohammed Umaru Bago has expressed grief over his death. The governor, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Boligi Ibrahim, described the death of Sheikh Ferry as a sad loss to the state and the entire Muslim community. He acknowledged that the late chief imam was a humble and peace ambassador who always preached love and togetherness to the people. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has sacked Musilu Akinsanya, known as MC Olumo, as president of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW. A 3-member panel of justices led by Haman Barka affirmed the match on March 11, 2024 judgment of the National Industrial Court, which affirmed Tajuddin Barawa as the union's president. Najim Yassim, Tajuddin Adigbe, and some other persons who claim to be the nation's leader had filed an appeal to challenge the Industrial Court's decision to recognize Barua as president. However, in the judgment delivered on November 8th, the appellate court dismissed the appeal and awarded 100,000 naira against the appellants. The Nigerian Navy of the Oguta Naval Base has brought healthcare services to Orso Obudu community in Aguta local government area of Imo State. Global TV Imo State correspondent Amarachi Ibe has more.
This is St. Michael Secondary School in Oguta local government area of Imo State, the venue of the medical outreach put together by Nigerian Navy to provide critical health services to the community. The commander of Oguta Naval Base, Mohammed Bashiru, represented by Okeme Anthony, executive officer, says the outreach is not just about medical checkups, but focuses on building trust with the community.
In line with the Nigerian Navy's mandate and the vision of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral E.I. Ogala, the Naval Base Oguta organized this medical outreach to improve a better working relationship with the good people of Oswobodo community here in Imo State, as well as also enhance our corporate social responsibility in our host community. For the past 3 years, and in these 3 years, the relationship has been very good.
The traditional ruler of the community, Alphonse Uzoma, and the principal of St. Michael Secondary School, Uguta, thanked the Nigerian Navy for the kind gesture.
I thank the government and the Naval people for this gesture, for the health of the people. People say health is wealth, so we are happy. And I think they say let it be annual, so that the health of the people will improve.
Impressed, and they pray that they continue to repeat this almost every term. I'm highly impressed.
Highlights of the event include health education, seizing on body care and preventive health, as well as screening for blood pressure and blood sugar levels. The Nigerian Navy team also distributed insecticide-treated nets, free medication, and provided medical consultations. The Nigerian Navy Oguta Naval Base has not only extended a hand in protecting our nation's waters, but has also demonstrated a commitment to the health and well-being of Oswobodo community. From Oswobodo community in Oguta local government area of Imo State, Amarachi Ibe reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you, Marichi, for that report. Over now to the Kogi State government has approved a sum of 8 billion naira for infrastructural development at the newly established Kogi State University, Kaba. Remy Jones, the State Commissioner for Education, revealed that the State Governor, Ahmed Ododo, approved this during an interview in Lokoja. The funds will be allocated for the construction of critical facilities at the university, including the Senate Building, Faculty of Science, and male and female hostels. You're watching AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When AM News return, Inter Miami set to reunite Messi, Neymar. Details of this as well as business and foreign stories coming right after this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television and this is the AM News. On our business desk, the federal government has projected a fiscal deficit of 13.08 trillion naira in 2025, an increase from the estimated 9.18 trillion naira for 2024 and one of the largest on record. This projected deficit represents approximately 38% of the federal government's revenue and 3.87% of the nation's estimated gross domestic product. The largest fiscal deficit based on the medium-term expenditure framework was 11.6 trillion naira in 2023, while the government has estimated a fiscal deficit of 10.2 trillion naira for the period of 2022 to 2026. The medium-term expenditure framework attributes this increase to factors such as a new minimum wage, pension obligations, subsequential adjustments, and raising debt service cost. The federal government says it's seeking the collaboration of the private sector to help address the country's agricultural production challenges. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Mohammed Abubakar, stated this via video presentation at the Food and Energy Security in African Conference in Lagos, organized by White & Case in collaboration with the African Development Bank and Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority on Friday. The private sector holds the key to unlocking much of Nigeria's agricultural potentials by investing in advanced technologies, modern infrastructure, and value-added processing. Businesses can drive transformative change, yet we understand that investing in agriculture comes from an inherent risk. The federal government says it is committed to creating an enabling environment through policy reforms and de-risking mechanisms. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has called on businesses to prioritize compliance with health and safety regulations, emphasizing the importance of accurate branding and proper handling of regulated products. NAFDAC Director General Professor Mojishola Adeyeye, represented by the Director of the Northwest Zone, Netim Dadi, gave this charge during a panel session at the 2024 African Retail Congress recently held in Lagos. He stressed the need for retailers to familiarize themselves with local and international regulators governing the manufacture, storage, and distribution of these products. The World Bank has identified $32 million in unaccounted funds in a Nigerian water sector project, raising concerns over likely embezzlement and mismanagement. According to the newly released FY 2024 Sanction System Annual Report, the bank's integrity vice presidency, referred to as NINT in the report, flagged the discrepancies after a forensic review. The funds intended to bolster water infrastructure were not adequately accounted for, prompting an intervention to safeguard the project's integrity. In a decisive move to mitigate risks, the World Bank engaged with the project team, including Nigeria's tax team leader, operation manager, and financial management specialists. On our foreign deck, Chinese leader Xi Jinping has pledged to work with incoming President Donald Trump in his final meeting with current U.S. leader Joe Biden. The two met on Saturday on the sidelines of the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Peru, where they acknowledged ups and downs in relations over Biden's 4 years in office. However, Both highlighted progress in lowering tension on issues such as trade in Taiwan. Analysts says U.S.-China relations could become more versatile when Trump returns to office in 2 months, driven by factors including a promise to raise tariffs on Chinese imports. On our sports desk now, sports newspaper Marcus says speculations is rift that Inter Miami are close to signing Brazilian forward Neymar Jr. The Brazilian, who joined Saudi club Al Hilal from the big spending Paris Saint-Germain in 2023, formed a formidable partnership with former teammates Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez as the trio dazzled European football during their time at Barcelona with their goal-scoring abilities and strong collaboration. The trio's partnership was double MSN during their time at the Catalan club. Unfortunately, Neymar has struggled with fitness issues, and there are indications that Al Hilal may terminate his contract, having featured only 7 times for the Saudi club. The Brazilian star signed a lucrative contract worth €130 million a year, placing him among the top-earning footballers in the world. Sudan Sports Victor Osimhen could still end up in the Premier League next season as the striker's future is once again in doubt. The Nigeria international went from being linked with big money moves to the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United and Paris Saint-Germain in the summer to joining Turkish giants on the season-long loan. With 8 goals from 9 matches in all competitions, Osimhen is on fire in Turkey. An Istanbul club reportedly went to sign him on a permanent basis. This would be a tall order, however, as Napoli are demanding a transfer fee of around €75 million for the 25-year-old, like Zaded Labur Sports reports, which is too much for Galatasaray. And to end News AM on Global Television, here's a summary of our top stories again. We brought to you that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Lucky Aiyedatiwa of the All Progressive Congress, APC, winner of the Ondo State Governorship election. And then we brought to you that President Bola Tinubu has met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. On our business desk, we said the federal government has projected a fiscal deficit of 13.08 trillion naira in 2025, an increase from the estimated 9.18 trillion naira for 2024 and one of the largest on record. And on our foreign story, Chinese leader Xi Jinping has pledged to work with incoming President Donald Trump in his final meeting with current U.S. leader Joe Biden. And finally, on sports, we brought to you that sports newspaper Marcus says speculations is rift that Inter Miami are close to signing Brazilian forward Neymar Jr. And that's it on AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276, and free to air on Nicomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms down showing on your screen by using a Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good morning.
Is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Time check. It's midday. then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Odi walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns and victories. Talk Sports with the King of Sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from